I might as well, dude.
Whoa, why? Well, Roblox is the culmination of everything wrong with the 21st century. Stock market manipulation, taxes, child labor, child gambling, black markets, legal loopholes, worker exploitation, bureaucracy, bribery, censorship, and sexual predators are just some of the countless different reasons for why Roblox is so evil. And by making this video, there is a very real risk that Roblox is going to try and take this video down, as they've done with many other creators. Because once you draw back the veil of Roblox, this seemingly innocent children's game becomes very, very nasty. Roblox was envisioned by two men, David Baszucki and Eric Castle. Unlike many of the other billion-dollar tech giants, Roblox didn't just come out of nowhere. In fact, the founders had launched their first businesses decades before, with this starting back in 1985, when David had recently graduated from Stanford, where he studied engineering and computer science. Using his knowledge, he would waste no time getting his career off the ground, quickly founding his first business, the Knowledge Revolution Company, with his main product being a 2D physics simulator called Interactive Physics. And because Interactive Physics was one of the first simulators around, the program would soon become a smash hit, with interactive physics being used by millions of physics students and would later win multiple awards. And it was while working at this company that David would meet Eric, his eventual Roblox co-founder. This was when Eric applied for an interview at David's company in his early days, where he would soon become hired as the VP of Engineering and Knowledge Revolution. Under their combined leadership, the company would flourish, and by this point Knowledge Revolution was doing so well that it caught the eye of MSC Software, who would go on to buy David's company a few years later in 1998, with David and Eric retaining their senior positions at the company, but only for a brief period of a few years. It wasn't until 2004 that the pair would break off from Knowledge Revolution. This time in Knowledge Revolution was critical. They had gained enormous amounts of business acumen, whilst also getting advanced knowledge in an untapped niche, because it was during their time in Knowledge Revolution that David and Eric noticed how much fun students just had messing around with their software. It didn't need to be so complicated and physicsy. People just enjoyed playing around with the simulator. It was this understanding that would become the framework of Roblox's core concept, a fully virtual 3D simulated world where you could build whatever you want. The idea was an incredibly ambitious project for the time. In fact, it was almost a beta version of the metaverse, but the technology was still incredibly rough, which is very clear when you look at any early footage of Roblox. However, weirdly, it was these blocky graphics that actually became one of the game's greatest strengths, making the game much easier on the eyes of its users, and also on the computer hardware at the time. And within a year, Roblox had gathered over $500,000 in funding. Although even with all of this money, building Roblox was still a very slow process. There were no other 3D open reality simulators. They were having to research how to build the software itself, whilst also focusing heavily on getting investments and business funding. Nonetheless, after 2 years of numerous prototypes, beta tests, and even a name change, Roblox was now officially complete. With the software being complete, Roblox would now have to target a specific market, and that audience would be children. This can be seen with the obvious comparison of Roblox and Lego. In fact, in the early days, Roblox's blocky graphics was actually used to resemble something like Lego. But this wasn't even just like Lego. Roblox aesthetics were almost directly copied from Lego. But there was one thing Roblox offered that Lego never could. Roblox gave kids the ability to make actual online games that they could upload on the platform for other users to play. This concept was always at the core of Roblox, and that's why Roblox would enjoy steady and consistent growth over the next decade, with developers gradually adding new features into the game. And at this point, it seemed all smooth sailing. But it was with all this constant tweaking and improvements that Roblox would stumble into one of their biggest additions yet, and that was the introduction of the game's economy, something that would be paramount to Roblox's future success. And yet it was also the game's economy that would eventually lead to Roblox's downfall. In May of 2007, the developers introduced their own currency into the game called Robux. This was the first step in creating the economy that would fuel Roblox throughout its future. The most common way to earn Robux was through Roblox's new subscription model that was introduced in the same year, a thing called the Builders Club, a subscription that would net you Robux along with other in-game perks and benefits. But players could earn Robux in a variety of other ways. They could either buy it, trade items for it, or have subscribers play games that they made. Unlike other games though, players could also trade back Robux for real money, something that would expand Roblox's economy throughout its development. However, the monthly influx of Robux from subscriptions, as well as the game's growing popularity, would actually start to devalue Robux as a currency. And so, in order to counteract this, Roblox began adding new features into their economy. The most notable of these was a literal virtual stock market. The premise of the stock market was that Roblox would periodically release new items, which players could then buy and sell later for a possible profit, and then actually use the Robux they earned to cash in for real money. This was a genius genius concept. But just as everything seemed to be going great, big news was announced for the Roblox
What
company.
happened? No toes? We're chilling?
Disaster had struck. Eric Castle, whose vision had been integral to Roblox's success, had passed away. Eric's death was felt deeply by those who knew him and the community as a whole. But his creation had outlived him. His death would not stop Roblox's continual expansion, and by February of 2016, Roblox was sitting at a respectable 9 million active users. However, this number would then jump to around 30 million by just December. With this immense growth brought new interest from investors, and a few months later, Roblox would go on to secure $82 million in funding. Subsequent years brought new growth milestones for Roblox, and by August 2019, the game had hit over 100 million active users. This number would then further skyrocket once COVID hit and all the kids were forced inside, with Roblox's annual revenue.
Hey, Roblox is a good game, literally. I think it's a good game.
Despite all this insane growth, Roblox was still losing money. As their platform grew, other costs started to mount. Roblox both had to host massive amounts of players, whilst also moderating them to keep the game child-friendly. This meant that they had to pay for both a massive server system as well as the salaries of hundreds of moderators. Now, it's not uncommon for companies to operate on a loss whilst taking on investors, but Roblox is clearly struggling to keep itself afloat, which is causing Roblox to walk a very thin line. It's desperate to grow, but if it grows too aggressively, it will overstretch itself, creating the strange business model paradox. And the results of this are becoming apparent. It's becoming very clear that the running costs of maintaining Roblox are becoming a very heavy burden to bear. I mean, in 2021, their servers went down for 3 days straight, an incredibly long time for a game of its size. And the executives know how unstable Roblox is, which might have been the main reason why the company finally went public on March 10, 2021. Although this move initially gave the company some short-term funds, Roblox's new shareholders would add even more pressure onto the company to become profitable, which is why Roblox is now trying to squeeze even more money out of the child user base, doubling down on both the exploitation of its economy and its user base, which is pretty worrying given the trajectory of where Roblox is currently heading. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when considering the possibility of an independent nation based entirely online is probably the metaverse, but it might surprise you to know that Roblox is probably going to beat Mark Zuckerberg to the punch. Along with having full authority over the platform's market and digital real estate, Roblox now controls their own currency, which can be converted into real money. The actual game of Roblox functions as a completely autonomous operation, with the company only really paying for things on the back end. And since everything's based online, Roblox is free from the typical labor regulations that protect workers from exploitation. They don't need to worry about workplace conditions or the safety of people making their games. Roblox is essentially the digital version of a 19th century industrial sweatshop enterprise that retains full self-regulatory powers over their operations.
Chill out, dude.
Roblox is no stranger to utilizing child labor. You see, the company uses manipulative advertising and PR tactics to give children the unreasonable expectation that they can make money off of developing Roblox games, with them claiming that creators can earn serious cash by designing content using their built-in studio. This tactic often causes impressionable kids to overwork themselves and be exploited, all for the unlikely chance that their game will generate any kind of revenue, and when one game is actually successful, Roblox takes in the profit. But this is just the start of Roblox exploitation, because Roblox exploitation doesn't just extend to the kids making the games. One anonymous Roblox whistleblower illustrated a grim picture of how they hire and treat their support team. Roblox's support team is based in India, and the whistleblower alleges that the average wage was $400 a month.
At least it's somewhat productive, right? At the time, dude, I would play games like fucking like literally 10 hours a day, even though I would still go to school, right? Right? That would be considered overworking since I only play games. But if I only coded because I liked it, then it's a problem. But I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like if somebody learns how to code and they're coding a game that they enjoy doing it, and they're working on a project. Yeah, it's working, but like,
month, but it was expected for employees to work 10-hour shifts, meaning Roblox only paid their workers roughly $2 an hour. They then combined this with awful work conditions as well as making workers switch from day to night shifts every 2 months. The whistleblower does remain anonymous in their post, but he does give a lot of evidence that he actually worked there, and he alleged that if he showed his real identity, then Roblox would threaten legal action, which isn't that surprising when you look further into the Roblox story, because trust me when I say that this is just scratching the surface of Roblox's corrupt dealings. But before we continue, here's a quick word from today's sponsor, Kibble. This is how you can speed up your internet. Or are interested in Kibble's investment opportunity? Click the link in the description below. Roblox has over 220 million active players, and a lot of them contribute to the game by creating and publishing, quote, experiences. Now, we've already established this, but if you're wondering why Roblox calls them experiences instead of games, it's just a term they use to legally separate themselves from being a game distributor. This user-powered content creation system is how Roblox really makes its money. The player base are the ones making the games on the platform, which allows the company to just sit back and take a huge cut of all the revenue. One of the ways Roblox does this is by allowing users to implement their own monetization, where creators can set in-game purchases on their maps through Robux. The company even pays their own game developers in Robux, something that would actually be illegal if it wasn't done within the Roblox metaverse. People Make Games made an excellent video breaking down the methods Roblox uses to exploit their creators. One of the comparisons they drew was that Robux are essentially a digital version of, quote, Script. Script was company credit paid to early mining and logging employees. Instead of real money, employees would be given Script that they would use to purchase goods from stores that the issuing corporation already owned. This scheme put most of the laborers' money back in the pockets of bureaucrats. Being paid in Script also made it much harder for employees to live or work anywhere else, since they didn't make any real money. Eventually, the practice was deemed unconstitutional in the 1930s because of its awful effects on the workers. However, there's no law against doing this online, which is why Roblox takes full advantage of the Script concept by distributing Robux as a payment to creators rather than actual money. And as you'd
they save so much money on that then, right? On taxes and shit too.
In order for users to withdraw Robux for real money, they must reach a threshold of 100,000 Robux, which is the equivalent of about $1,000. Roblox sets the threshold this high because it encourages players to spend their Robux on the platform, rather than saving enough to convert it into real money. This tactic is especially effective against their young user base, since around half of the active players are under 12, with a lot of them being creators themselves. And yet, even if you do get 100,000 Robux, you'll most likely only net around $350, all due to the absurdly low contrived conversion rate, which often leads those in the loop turning to Roblox's black markets that are available on many third-party websites. All of this just to get better exchange rates. Which brings up the question, if Roblox 65%, they can control the conversion rate. They can profit from manipulating their own economy. And this is also leaving the door wide open for those looking to scam Roblox's young audience, especially when it comes to these black market economies, with many of these third-party websites being rife with malware, survey scams, account phishing schemes,
you get 35%
and credit card fraud. A Vice article on the topic tells the story of Asul, a Roblox player who fell victim to one of the thousands of scams being run every day. One day, Asul was abruptly logged out of his Roblox account. He reset his password and logged back in, but it was too late. He was immediately kicked off the account again. The scammers had actually changed his account's email, so Roblox said he couldn't prove that it was his account. Now that they had access, the scammers went about selling his items to various black market sites and to other Roblox players, pocketing all of the money that Asul had put into the game. And this is just one example from the ecosystem of scams and hacks that proliferate Roblox. With all these factors, making money from creating experiences is nearly impossible, despite the Roblox advertisements that say otherwise. The platform only displays a small section of the available maps that already have a sizable user base, and those games are almost always developed by a large team rather than an individual creator. And even with this, you get paid almost nothing, and getting this publicity in the first place is almost impossible. There's a very significant upfront investment of Robux needed to advertise the game in the first place. Robux that goes back to the Roblox business, all for a creator to...
Okay, Roblox takes 30% of the transaction, and then 65% when converting to USD. Wait, so you're getting fucked on the way in and on the way out?
Advertise within Roblox. And even by paying Roblox to advertise on their own services to make Roblox more money, this still doesn't even guarantee success either. It only buys you a slot for a limited time. On the other hand, established groups
Okay, no, I don't think you get it. I don't think you get it. I don't think you get it. No, taxes? No, it's even worse than that. Look at that, look at that. This is the amount that's coming in, right? Okay, this is the amount that's coming in. They tax it, so you only get this part, right? So this part becomes this, right? Out of that, believe it or not, you only get 35% because they're taking a cut, right? On the way out. Boom. Right? And then somehow you finally get the money. Boom. And then the government takes about, I would say, like this much, depending on your bracket. And then, so you get this part of that part of that part. Right? Right? I did my math right?
Have bribed their way to the top, get seemingly round-the-clock advertising, and this is done through Roblox auctions, where a bunch of other creators bid against each other for a possible advertisement slot, with the winning bid going directly into Roblox's pocket. Roblox themselves calls the system a gamble on their forums, since an experience's success almost entirely depends on whether or not it can gain enough players in a short amount of time. But it's these large groups that bribe their way to the top that have enough Robux to even out the odds with multiple advertising runs, creating this horrible.
So at the end of the day, you create the economy like $6, and you have $1 to spend back in the economy.
And this is another genius business move by Roblox. By having this system in place, only a small section of established creators can create games in Roblox. By doing this, it's much more profitable for the company to have the majority of players on these popular maps rather than spread across lots of different experiences. Since this means there's less creators cashing out their Robux, which then further boosts the Roblox economy. And actually within Roblox, these established creators are also completely unregulated regarding how they treat their own workers. There are no contracts required to work with development teams to create the games in Roblox, and the managers can essentially do whatever they want. This includes exploitation such as overworking and underpaying employees, as well as workplace abuse and harassment being very common. A worker speaking out against the experience with managers is actually frowned upon in the Roblox community. Doing so can lead to a loss of reputation, being blacklisted from other projects, and possibly even being banned. I mean, Roblox considers criticism and speaking out against management as harassment, so almost everyone has to keep quiet about the issue. The most notable example of this is the Sonic Eclipse Online, otherwise known as the SEO fiasco. This was an incident where a prominent, experienced developer got caught doing something that would have buried them if they were working anywhere else. But since it took place over Roblox, he managed to scrape by with barely a scratch. The 24-year-old creator behind SEO, Dr. Rafatnik, was found to be sexting an underage girl that he knew was only 14. Even worse, this same girl was someone working for him in his development team. I mean, Dr. Rafatnik was sending messages that are probably best left unspoken, but they're probably as sexually direct as you can get. But after the girl came forward, numerous users and other developers came to Dr. Rafatnik's defense, claiming that his explicit messages were simply jokes. Dr. Rafatnik also used the just jokes narrative and stated that he will protect himself from this blatant attempt at character assassination. While Roblox did end up banning his main account, they refused to take any further action on alternative accounts or his experiences, meaning that Dr. Rafatnik is still developing games, managing staff, and making money with Roblox. But if you dare speak about any of this stuff, Roblox will silence you. But it gets even worse because Roblox censors into silence those outside of the Roblox world. When people make games to release their expose on Roblox, they were...
It's called Thai Express, it's just it's Thai food.
Immediately pressured to take the video down. The channel actually received vague threats from Roblox, who were asking them to remove it, citing errors that they didn't specify. Even though the video was completely true, which meant that Roblox couldn't actually do anything about it. And in fact, their bullying tactics backfired terribly. The follow-up video responding to this request got almost triple the amount of views as the first one. Roblox refuses to claim any responsibility for these awful conditions, since they always take place off of the platform, usually happening instead through Discord. And this is all deliberate. Actual project development is done almost exclusively using third-party services, since Roblox's official forum was permanently shut down after the company refused to invest in proper moderation. And so since project management isn't done on their website, Roblox is free to say that any labor issues or abuse is not their problem. And yet despite all of this, it might surprise you to know that one aspect of Roblox's official store is even more abhorrent than the black markets themselves. The platform sells something they call collectibles. These are items Roblox distributes for a limited time that are later sold by other users for exorbitant prices. In addition to the regular market, Roblox also takes a 30% cut from all collectibles sold, with some of the items selling on average for over $10,000. Roblox then intentionally creates artificial scarcity, all to profit from virtual goods they have a monopoly on, and they then use established brands like Gucci to help them with this scheme. It's these collectible
10K?
items that are the bread and butter of Roblox's stock market system. Players can then speculate on the value of the virtual collectibles that Roblox releases and then try to sell them for higher prices. However, make no mistake, this is gambling. But because it's all virtual within the Roblox metaverse, and for the fact that Roblox
How's that gambling?
uses Robux instead of dollars or euros, it's actually completely legal. Roblox has found an insane loophole that exists to let kids gamble. Roblox is fully embracing this child gambling, and since kids have much less inhibition compared to adults, the practice becomes extremely profitable. Roblox uses the incredible emotional manipulation that gambling holds on the general population and targets it directly at children. Now, why is a children's game allowed to openly sell these artificially inflated virtual items for ridiculous prices, sometimes upwards of $10,000? They don't even have to introduce them through gambling cases, and if Roblox plays their cards right, these collectible items will always increase in value, continually making Roblox profits from kids' emotional vulnerability. This practice becomes even shadier when you consider the average age of a Roblox user. They are deliberately targeting impressionable young kids who have no real understanding of money and are using their parents' cards, giving these children their first taste of gambling. And when you think of the state of gambling in the 21st century, this is honestly pretty crazy. There's so many regulations for physical methods like casinos and scratch tickets, but there's almost no laws for the online aspect. No matter
Average viewer age here is like 20 and a half, I think. 20.
how young a person is, anyone that knows how to use a computer can boot up an online game like CSGO or Roblox and gamble with real money whenever they please. Whether that be through loot boxes, skin cases, the Roblox stock market, or any of the other ever-expanding ways to virtually gamble. Companies get away with this by using virtual items that can be converted into real money, usually in the form of skins. This system allows these companies to legally separate from gambling since the goods are technically worthless. In essence, all of these virtual items are like online casino chips that can be bought by anyone no matter their age. However, if you can convert Robux into real currency, surely then this gives these virtual items real monetary value. And now I'm sure we all know this. Roblox certainly knows this, which makes you wonder, with this mass influx of gambling, especially towards young children, what will the societal repercussions be? This has never happened in history, when millions of young kids are being manipulated into gambling. And this isn't the only thing that kids are falling prey to. Roblox's young audience also makes the platform a prime target for sexual predators to take advantage of the game's experiences. This usually happens through experiences named condos, which are maps where users enter and bypass the game's text filter to discuss adult topics, as well as engage in explicit activities. Whilst these are obviously against Roblox's terms of service, the experiences are still able to slip by the website's moderation, causing this to be a significant issue for the platform. And since a lot of Roblox user communications are done by using third-party apps, usually through Discord, the game now has a substantial grooming problem. It was reported that one pedo managed to groom at least 150 children using Roblox, with 60 of these children being under 13, where he would use Robux to get children to send him explicit pictures,
Jesus!
and even stalk some of his victims in person. And since it's extremely easy to create burner accounts on Roblox and Discord, it's almost impossible to tell how many other predators are active right now who haven't been caught. The future looks murky for Roblox. Despite its insane popularity, there's just so much wrong with the company. Although it's not just their fault, the legal technicalities that have enabled Roblox are also to blame. Tons of what they do would be completely illegal if it wasn't happening over the internet. The legal system's inability to keep up with the virtual world is the foundation for Roblox's house of cards. Roblox only makes money by exploiting legal loopholes and children, which is what's so freaky to me about our society jumping headfirst into the metaverse. But if any of these loopholes actually did close, it would be disastrous for Roblox and the metaverse as a whole, which is why Roblox is doing everything it can to censor and control the narrative surrounding their shady practices. So hopefully this video will be online long enough to escape the wrath of their censorship, but by this point, who knows anymore.
Holy, so brave.
I have a quick important announcement to make. I'm sick of being demonetized on YouTube. I'm sick of censoring these videos for the YouTube algorithm. So this is gonna change. Every month, I'm gonna be releasing unfiltered...
Wait. No Black Rock? Huh? No China? Oh, what the fuck? I'm tempted to go and dislike this. There's no Black Rock.
Yo, this is X on the beat, yo. Okay.
My voice as well.
That is.
Anyone knows that boy? I don't know, he's just so soy. Anyone knows that boy? I don't know, he's just so soy.